Thank you.
I think it's 7 now. We have a pretty lengthy agenda that, as sometimes happens, grew through the day. Thanks, sir. So we're going to have a slight adjustment. We have a report this evening on the biennial report, which Phil and Paul are going to be sharing with us. Everybody got that in their packet last week. And then after we do that, we'll have the public comment. That way, you two will be free to go wherever presenters go after they present.
Well, he goes out to ride a bike, I know that.
Not tonight.
I guess just in general, and again, it's I don't want to do everything with a lengthy agenda this evening, but I've heard from counselors, you'll probably hear some more tonight. We were quite impressed with the report and the direction this is going. As I shared a couple things with Phil today too, there's such a momentum in our community that's looking at a number of things. The whole focus of complete streets, getting people out. We talked so long about childhood obesity and wellness and what can we do, and there are a lot of things that are spurring, and what gets exciting to me is when I go to for example, a strategic tourism planning committee meeting at the chamber, same conversation is going on. They're producing documents that show people biking by, I was going to share something, but you're the one that shared with me about the roads, so I don't need to. I will when I get there. So it is exciting, and we're pleased. Paul, just give you a lot of credit for leading that group. Absolutely no surprises. But you've done a great job. So with that said, I'm assuming you know everyone here. You've met this group. And everybody knows Paul.
We prepared an hour-long presentation for you.
So
it's been boiled down to 60
We'll take the trailer. Go ahead, guys.
Okay. Well, I'll say thank you. It's really been a treat to be able to start volunteering. Alice and Laura and I have been part of the town of Plattsburgh since we relocated back. I'll also say tonight, over the last month, our highway department's done a great job on our neighborhood, and I'd just like to extend to you, certainly the next time I see one of the members of the department, I'll say thank you. It has been really appreciated. So, I'd like to say thanks. It was evident during the last few weeks by probably a half dozen different citizens, some from the town of Plattsburgh, like us, and some outside the town of Plattsburgh, that were looking at the newspaper and commented on the fact that, boy, it's been nice to see that there's a town that's really moving forward with this notion of wellness and tourism and bolstering commerce and being the kind of town where people will want to be constructing their next home and raising their family, bringing businesses into town, and being the kind of town that a business is going to want to be in and continue to be in. So as a resident and as a citizen and as one of your volunteers, I'd like to say thanks for that. Our steering committee is led by, and I appreciate the kind words. I'd just like to say thanks to Phil for his planning team. There have been great resources for our steering committee. Our steering committee and your planning department we're like frickin' frack. We seem to be working productively. I think part of it is I'll commend Phil and the planning department. They have encouraged us as a steering committee to focus on what you ask a steering committee to do. In turn, when questions have come up or there's been requests for data, information, some underlying facts, Phil and his team have been great about doing that. I think having an elected official as a part of the steering committee has been a help too, and I'd like to say thank you to you because you've helped us navigate through. Well, we got two, and it's great to have our deputy supervisor there. So thank you. So what we've tried to do is make sure that we start on time, each meeting, we end on time, because it's more likely people will show up the next meeting if we start and we end on time. We focus on the goals that have been set for us. In terms of what we're intending to focus on in a moment, Phil's going to run through what we're looking at for this year ahead. What I would like to do for tonight, since you've got a busy agenda, I'd like to cut to the chase and go right to page 7, which offers the 3 specific fact-based recommendations we've got for the town board tonight. The first is to encourage our highway superintendent to continue, not to start, to continue his initiative from this past year to include complete streets concepts within the scope of the road work being done, because as people often said, it doesn't take more and it often doesn't cost any more to do it right the first time. And what I'd like to say thank you to the town. Some of the recent improvements that have been done have been with not only motorists, they've been done with pedestrians and cyclists in mind. And that really is good for the town of Plattsburgh and those people that we serve associated with the town. Secondly, to commission the steering committee that you established to expand the dialogue and the collective efforts so that we can work with our bordering towns, with the city of Plattsburgh, and with the county. We've launched our engagement with the Department of Transportation. The suggestion is tonight, ask us to continue to do those efforts on your behalf. And then lastly, it's a broader recommendation, and we ask it very respectfully if you'll stay the course as well. It's been a great year in the town of Plattsburgh this past year. Our steering committee very respectfully requests you continue to do things as you've been doing them, with the interest of keeping one eye on the present and the other eye on the future. And so those are our 3 recommendations. Phil's providing tonight a bullet list of what our steering committee plans on focusing these next 6 months. And so with that, I'll say thank you and turn it over to Phil.
Yeah, and I don't want to neglect also what we've done in 2012. This outline here covers it very well, what we've done. And then looking ahead at this year, I gave you a little bullet list. We've got a student intern who's going to start working with us tomorrow, who's going to support the committee's efforts. We're going to be doing some research and mapping with that student. We'll also, at the next meeting, be working with Jim Woods on what he's got proposed in his department and running that by the committee. We anticipate spending some time looking at the Route 3 Plaza Boulevard intersection, which is a state highway intersection. But one of the things that we learned in our collaboration with DOT is that they do look for input. If it's smart and it's clearly defined. So we would like to take some time and see if we can use that as an exercise and make some comment to DOT.
While you're focused on that, just plant somewhere in the back of your head, we have a grant that we fully anticipate will fund a, I got reader board in my mind, it's not that,
the kiosk.
The kiosk, thank you. Which we've looked at that area as a site. So obviously having it pedestrian friendly so people can go by and read what's on the kiosk will be two issues working together.
Do you know when you anticipate that to be up?
We need to see Jerry on that, but I fully anticipate hearing about the grant literally any time.
Let me just skip one bullet and go down to the walkability study in the Route 3 Smithville Boulevard area, which is exactly where you're talking about. This would be the committee going down there on like a Friday evening between 4 and 6 on a nice afternoon. We got to coordinate the weather request. And working possibly with the Chamber Tourism folks and conducting a walking survey down there. it'll be an anecdotal, I mean, it's not gonna be a real heavy, scientific kind of
Bring your
statistical
running
regression.
shoes. Bring your running shoes for Route 3.
Trevor and I have spent some time down there occasionally in this time frame, and and we've all seen it, I'm sure you've all seen the increased number of people, primarily being driven by the hotels that are down there. But there's an increasing amount of foot traffic, and these are people from outside the community, but there are a lot of surveys, walking kinds of surveys that we can draw from. And we would be able to go ahead and join with the tourism folks and be able to hand out some tourism information as well. So that would be, Bernie, in that same area that we'd be looking to do that. So if that would work out, if we wouldn't be an impediment to the bank on the corner there, maybe we could, find a nice safe spot to set up there.
That's what we've been thinking without actually having engaged with them yet, because until we know we can do it. But I'm thumbing through, Phil, and we can look at another time. EGRET, the consultants that we've been working with the strategic tourism, the Vision 2040, and so on, is coming back for a retreat, and then there'll be a presentation at Clinton Community on a Friday evening. And I really think, I'm going to make a point to see that the committee is invited and that you've got the information. I think you will be excited by what you see and where this fits in. So just, I'll make a note, Phil. I thought I'd stumble on it real fast here because I thought it was in April. But
do you think one of those folks from EGRET would maybe, no, I mean, give me some information about that survey, that walking survey?
They might. We can do some introductions on that at that presentation. I'll take some notes. I am planning to go to the sessions, but there really is a link there that's important. I'll get that and I'll get it to you. But we want to make sure the committee is plugged in, not just Phil, certainly.
I'm going to jump back up to the bullet just above the walkability survey, and that is crafting and sponsoring, the town sponsoring a bike pedestrian summit. And we just recently joined the New York Bicycling Coalition, and they are, an advocacy in New York State.
Who's we? You or the town?
Town.
Oh.
Town complete streets.
We do a lot of things when you...
Town complete streets. Thank you for the budget that the board
That's good to know.
And they provide resources for events like this and for training. So we would like to craft something for, that would be a kind of a larger undertaking and timing. What we would want to do that we are finding has been working well on our behalf is connecting with the Vision to Action transportation component. So if there was some opportunity that we could join with Vision to Action for the, really getting the most bang for our buck on that, plus getting planning board training and whatever other training that we can pull off with that. So that is on the horizon. We'll continue to follow the progress on the Saranac River Trail, which right now is primarily my attendance to the group meetings and channeling that information back, of which there's a meeting tomorrow morning on that. Then moving sometime, hopefully this year, toward drafting a policy for town board consideration. It's not something that we wanted to jump right in. We don't want to just go out and recommend, some kind of cut and dry, cut and paste policy for the board to consider. We'd rather have some reflection in there before we got to making a recommendation for resolution. The county, for example, did last year adopt a resolution, and of course New York State has legislation for complete streets, but we'd like to maybe make sure that everybody is better up to speed with.
I'd guess if we seek a funding opportunity, none of which I know that are available now, but there is a lot of momentum with this, having a policy, having an established committee, and your work strengthens that application.
It absolutely does. We currently are meeting on the fourth Tuesday of each month through April. We've got it. We will be having it. I didn't something didn't seem right with the town website calendar this morning when I went on. I couldn't get past January.
See?
You know, peanut gallery back there. And then,
Well, she had the same problem.
I have the same problem.
yeah, well, I had a problem. I was like, ugh.
Was that today, Phil?
Yeah, this morning.
Mine's good. You can come use my computer.
They didn't like me.
We'll have to check on that tomorrow and get
Yeah.
the date.
We thought that maybe it was down for construction or something, but I'm not sure. And then we do have the link on the town website for Complete Streets, and we are moving information into that. So if you were to, one of those things, if you're on the town website, and it would be one of those indicators for the type of community Plattsburgh.
For our scavenger hunt, is
Yeah.
there a question that takes people to the link?
At the
Not
time
this
that we
time.
did, at the time that we
Okay.
did the questions, we didn't.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
No.
It's all right. They'll stumble on it with all their activity.
So, thank you.
That's great. Anyone, questions?
Oh, yes,
You do.
absolutely. Paul's been really a great asset with this group. And you know, I wanted to mention to you that we also, you know, the committee has developed a good working relationship with each other. And one of the things that you do that is really nice is at the end of the meeting is to go round table and let everybody have some input to the, you know, making sure that that they've got some satisfaction out of pulling the meeting together and keeping it to that time frame that that's what chair folks are for.
Well, your committee members, I've seen those names more
It's a
than once.
dynamic group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you really got to, and I know you are, be respectful of their time and contributions. But it's also a group because they've had their fingerprint on other things like the master plan. They know the big picture and see their cog in that wheel, you know. It's good. It's good stuff. It's exciting, it really is.
One of the problems with this is, you know, expectations that evolve out from it. So, you know, people will look at us and, you know, we'll have to continue to deliver.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah.
Once that egg gets on the refrigerator, they look for more. Good stuff. Anyone have any questions, comments? Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, it's great. Our money was well
Question.
invested.
This doesn't have much land there in terms of that's a bigger position. It's a small house in it, and there's houses right next to it.
But it's actually, think of that like a garage.
But they're
taking down
they're
a
building a
garage.
bigger place on a very small lot. Well, it looks small to me.
Okay, I'm going to go to our public comment session now, and one of the notes I've made for myself, this is the first evening we begin to follow some of our own, I will begin to follow some of my own guidelines a little more closely. I'll put the I word in there. I can see that we need a sign-in sheet to simply get a list of who's here, and we also need a separate sheet that would be for people who would like to speak, or if there's a group and they have a speaker. So I will go down the list. Some of you, I suspect, are here because you have an assignment to fulfill, and that's a good thing. Others are guests. So if you are not interested in speaking, then all you have to do is say so, and we'll consider that as a sign-in. We ask you, as we've done for many years, to simply state your name and address. Try to limit your comment to 5 minutes. If we have any groups, we are going to limit our time to 30 minutes. So we may want to designate a person to represent the group. I suspect that's not the case this evening. Austin, did you want to address the board? No. And Megan?
No.
Or Dave?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want to put the, do you want them to, or you want to use the podium or not?
Podium?
That was my intention, to bring it to the front after I take the sign-in sheet off.
Name, rank, and
They say 3 tries and you've got it down as a
Well,
habit.
eventually.
Major, I will give you my
All right.
It was interesting, supervisor's comments beginning about how good things are in the community that people are meets with and so forth. It gives me a good lead into what I want to say. I deal with a different sector of the community. I've dealt with a different sector of the community for 38 years this summer. I'm beginning to encounter people that have admitted to me that they're hungry. how people survive in this community is totally beyond me. They should do my budgeting for me. I don't know how they stretch a dollar is totally, I can't imagine. There's a lot of poverty around here, a lot of hurting people, and I see them every day that I work. Which brings me to what I was going to talk about, is that I know everything is rosy in Plattsburgh, but I look at any graph of national debt, you know, we're headed for a train wreck. I said that previously here, and I still believe it. I think it's inescapable. And I think this, in terms of spending issues, I think the town has to be as careful as they can on any spending items. Last fall, a group presented a number of suggestions to the board about cutting spending here and there. I think not one of them was taken into any serious consideration. Again, if you look at a graph of federal debt, it's going up exponentially. And any time you see an exponential graph, it never ends well. It ends very badly. And I don't know whether it's going to be in 6 months, 2 years, whatever, but we're headed for trouble nationally. I read that Penny and Sears are in difficulty nationally, as is Best Buy. And I don't know what's going to happen if some of those stores begin to pull out. And the mall, I know the mall generates a lot of income and so forth, but basically the mall sells a lot of trinkets, if you ask me. There are very few necessities other than what you buy in Penny's or Sears. And that's the stuff that, the rest of the stuff, those are the things people are going to stop buying. They're going to buy food, they're going to buy fuel, and basic clothing. That's it. The rest of the junk they sell up there, they're not going to buy anymore. And so I think the idea that this flow from the mall is a golden goose, it's never going to die. I don't know. I think we may see something different in the future. So I like to end things with a quote. You can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Andrus.
Hi, my name is John Andrus. I live at 303 Cumberland Head Road, Plattsburgh, 12901. I wanted to speak to you tonight, bring your attention to a couple of things. We need a new podium.
And we can't afford
One
it.
of them is, I'll find it in the budget for you, Marty.
I'll bring you one.
There's a letter, November 22, 2012, from none other than Mr. Colin Reed, Everybody's Business. I think it's a significant letter because it's written around Thanksgiving time. And on page 1, bottom paragraph, I would like to see some entities, he's referring to entities meaning governmental operations, actually propose a reduction of spending rather than a slower increase of spending, if only as a symbol of the degree to which people are hurting. Kind of a segue to what David was saying. And this is from Colin Reed, your economics and financial chair of Plattsburgh State University, the individual who chaired your comprehensive land use plan very effectively, did a good job, had a nice product. This is from him. I realized elected officials want budgets to grow, but I can also imagine many ways in which we can share services or delay governmental gratification. Does a town really need an expensive camera truck to inspect underground pipes? It is inconceivable that the municipalities countywide could not share such a truck. Presumably, it would not be used every day by one town. And then he goes on to suggest, better yet, could we not contract out to private sector when we need such a service? I just wanted to bring that to your attention. This was Mr. Reed back in November 22, one of your people that you rely on for advice. So hopefully you'll rely on his advice, because as far as I'm aware, you haven't purchased the camera truck yet. I don't know. The other thing I'd like to do very quickly is bring your attention to The Office of New York State Comptroller, Division of Local Government School Accountability, found the Plattsburgh internal controls of the billed receivables report of examination period covered January 1, 2008 through May 31, 2009. This is the official document. And in this document, they quote audit results. This is an audit of your operations in that particular year, 2008 to 2009 May. Our audit found weaknesses in the town's internal controls over water and sewer billed receivables. The board had not adopted written policies and procedures for the billing, collection, and reconciliation of water and sewer user charges. As a result, the town has not reconciled the balances of the amounts billed, collected, and recorded in the water and sewer records to the accounting department records for the past several years. Even though the failure to perform such reconciliations was reported on by the town's external auditor, who happens to be AF&R, what's AF&R? You know who that is, Abbott Friendly and Russell. External auditor and audit reports for the years ended 2003 to 2007. That's 4 years. Then we go on to the most recent report by AF&R, Abbott Friendly and Russell. And in this report, they cite the fact that they've basically not found any corrections to the information that was disclosed in the previous report. This is dated, I think it's last year, October, I believe. October 5th, 2012 is the cover letter, Independent Auditor's Report, AF&R. Third paragraph down, page 1. The financial statements referred to above include account balances of certain special revenue funds that are unaudited. As discussed in Note 9 to these financial statements, we were unable to audit a significant portion of the town's special revenue water, sewer, and water sewer administration funds due to lack of sufficient accounting reports supporting the financial activities, and we were unable to satisfy ourselves by means of other auditing procedures. That's a pretty bad report card. Don't you agree? Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Bassett? If this was your report card, which it is, it's an F. And not only does it go back to 2012, it goes all the way back to 2003. I challenged you during the budget review process, and I said you need to have a lean, mean, efficient organization. You said, we do. And I said, I don't think so. This is proof that you don't. You've got over $600,000 you can't account for in your water revenues. Why? That's your responsibility as the chief financial officer of this town for the last 9 years.
This is your 8, but that's minor. Is there anything else, John?
This is minor?
Yeah. No, I didn't say that was minor. Is there anything else?
What is minor? I don't understand.
Are you done?
I'm not done.
We're not, because
I'm not
your
done.
time's getting down there.
My
very,
time is
very
up.
close.
Thank you very much.
Very
I would
close.
appreciate it as a taxpayer and as the president, Cumberland Head Taxpayer Association, that you look into this as soon as possible and get this squared away. Because we're paying taxes for money you can't account for. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gray.
I'm good, thanks.
Thank you.
But I have to go. I got some personal
And
responsibilities
Amanda?
to take care of. Mr. Mayor.
And Mr. Scott already left here, just signed it. Okay, number 2. And this is one I put on for a little follow-up discussion. Let me get my notes in order. We had a question concerning a purchase of outerwear for 2 of our Teamster employees. I think we had some conversation about that. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe Deborah shared with you a 2011 note, uniform updates, and clarified a process that was used I don't have a clue by who. Maybe you, Paul, or Gerard would know better. A handful of employees, I'll say. And then a memo went out.
No, this is town board, I should say.
That was the town board, but then she put a memo out
Right.
clarifying what we had agreed to. And that's what they had used in response to putting through the 2 sweats, which I had the opportunity to see the sweats that were really in tough shape. So I don't know, I guess it would start with you, Paul and Gerard, as, the internal audit, does that have bearing on this?
Yeah, because I think you have to read the last sentence of the memo.
Mhm.
And it says the department head will go to the town board.
Yep. And the department head has already indicated her mini mea culpas that she didn't do that first. And has been duly noted. But that was the
And that
purpose
was
of the
for
purchase.
2011. I don't think we authorized it beyond that, do we?
Well, beyond that, we said the department head would come to the board and, be
And
their
that-
And
Right.
discretion.
they would be
Come to the board.
replaced, they would be replaced as needed, so we wouldn't get into a situation where we have in the past where a certain amount of money was set aside annually for equipment, and there was no keeping an eye on whether or not there was a need to replace. It was just, I've got this money to spend for new apparel, I'm buying the new apparel. And we could have a person with a closet full of things that were purchased that there was no need. So there was a change made, it had to deal with outerwear. We don't want our employees working in threadbare clothing, we don't want them out in the elements, and we definitely don't want people to not be able to identify who is a town employee and who isn't. We had that problem back in '96, I think it was, with one of our meter readers who was going around with the cowboy hat on, and he was going into people's backyards. And, you don't need that. So we've graduated from that. And I think that, I don't speak for Paul, I speak for myself. I'm concerned, I didn't see the clothing, I don't know how worn it was. I'll have to trust the supervisor that it was in need of replacement. But I've also heard that we have other department heads who take a look at the apparel and they say, it's not worn enough, we're not going for it. So we need to have some kind of control over how the spending is going to be taking place, and this was one thing that we did.
And the department head really is the first spot that we should expect. We'll be able to sort out, you need something, or you want a new color, or you want that style,
But I think Paul's right. I think it's good we had in there that, again, it would be up to the department heads to go to the board.
Yep.
Additional apparel needs to be
Do they
replaced.
have-
Totally
They can say to their employees,
Do we need to,
hey, I really would have loved to do this, but the town board nixed us on it. So
Absolutely.
take some of it off.
Do we need to let them know again?
And I think you need to point out too,
that will happen.
that these 2 employees are the only people that have all of a sudden needed any outerwear. Nobody from the highway department, nobody from the water and sewer department, nobody from building and grounds. Happens to be the same 2 people in the same 2 department. I really would question that.
Well,
And these are the questions.
Are we sure though that you're looking at the shirts that we bought from 2011? Or are we looking at,
town logo sweatshirts.
yeah, okay, we bought those before, prior to this.
Yeah, I can't answer that question, I
Okay.
guess. You get to a point where you can't call the person that comes to you a liar, If you find they are, it's a different story. But tough question, there are people in water sewer, depending what they did, they could have ruined their outfit today.
Yep.
And this time of year, you've got the guys are doing more in the truck and plowing, they're not on the road, they're not putting pavement down, they're not in the
But again,
ditches.
in
It's not
a
gonna go as
year,
fast.
in a year and 3 months, this is the first time we've bought anything
Yeah.
from anybody. And it happens to be the only 2 individuals, both of them in the same department.
But you got it.
And that particular kind of apparel wouldn't be appropriate in the kind of weather we've had.
You've got to look at the requests, though, and I think if in 3 months you get the same department, the same people, or the first of the year every year, you kind of begin to wonder what's going on. I don't know how many others there'll be. I mean, the point is, we did say, here's a way to do it. That's what they operated. The mistake was, they didn't go to the board first.
Yeah, because the board probably would have said no, at least this board.
Well, they might
I don't
have said
remember-
yes, they might have said no. I can't
I don't
answer that
remember
question.
authorizing this to union members. I thought our clothing policy that we passed.
No, this was what went out when I.
But this
contract
says-
went- we got
But that was
one
for,
time deal.
that was for our administrative people and such.
No.
No,
wasn't
we got
it?
a
The one you
separate
did was for
agreement for that.
administrative.
Okay,
This is for the union before.
That was the one I
One-time
jumped by mistake.
all right.
deal. One-time deal. Well, and stuff was just ordered a month or so ago from some guys from Highway and whatever, and you know what? They were told they had to pay for it. They had to pay for it because the department head there didn't buy additional
Right,
sweatshirts.
and you've got one on, and I'm not arguing, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to clarify the facts. You've got one on here that's being paid by one of the staff.
Right, yeah, I saw it. I think they need to pay for them the same way everybody else did in every other department. If you buy those two,
Yeah.
you're opening the floodgates.
That's my concern. You're gonna open the floodgates, and I don't think it's at all necessary.
Take a look, Highway just bought some
The
2 weeks ago, I
coincidence.
think, and they bought some extra t-shirts and sweatshirts, they paid for them.
No, we're not gonna pay for them.
Okay. End of the conversation. I actually jumped ahead a little bit. That was actually number 3. Number 2, this was not about a dress shirt. I didn't have any documents. And I think we've all purchased, a white one, a blue one, or whatever that we've all worn periodically. I'm on the, I have one of my blue long sleeves came up missing. I had a couple of whites, a couple of blues, and I want to get another one, but I'm not happy with the shirt quality. I'll leave it at that. We can, and I have to talk with Dave, because I know Dave at one point, when I sent a couple back, he indicated that we could bring our own shirt and then he would take it and get it, the logo put on. I also know I can go to Lorman's, they've got it. There's a setup charge, and get it done there as well. So my only purpose in putting it is to see if anyone else is getting to a point where you want to purchase another one of the dress shirts. I will pursue some more information about getting it done at Lorman's and with Dave about bringing our own shirt in. I need to get another.
Yeah, I'm not buying any more dress shirts through.
I'm not going to buy it through Universe. No. I'm willing to, if it's a good deal, let them put a logo on the shirt I choose if they can. Or I'm just going to make my own shirt and go to Lorman's. But there's initial setup, as we all know, is a little bit.
I'm not interested.
Okay. I'm just checking to see if anybody else is, and I'll get back to you. If not, I'll solve my own problems by myself. So if nobody's interested, life goes on. 2 no's, we're on a roll call. Legislative Gazette. Can't say no to this. I've already agreed.
Oh, I know, we will have to look at it.
We talked about this last work session. I'm not going to dwell on it. The only reason I put it there, and I do these sometimes, is to make sure I'm communicating some information, then I got a record that I did or didn't too. We've got a pretty aggressive timeline to get this magazine out, and I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of it. And it will begin before the end of this month, with our goal being going to press on April 17. We'll be seeking some contributions from some department heads. The Complete Streets Committee really should be contributing. What we want to produce is a magazine that reflects the town as the perfect place to come, to grow your business, to live. We want to talk about the resources and assets here. They will massage that a bit, but that will be coming through. Because it's all of us, I'll make sure as things evolve to share it with you so you know the direction it's going, and give everyone a chance to also contribute if you'd like. Contributions, editorial contributions and whatnot will happen early April. You have a very succinct list. So I know I shared it last time. It's works in progress. I think it was right after our last work session. I got the list of things I have to do to make this happen. So just, I don't want you hearing it from other directions. So if you have any questions, see me. As I said, going forward, I'll just share stuff and we'll see what's going on.
Directly just have to do with the town.
This is it's a special edition only about the town, correct? And maybe you weren't here, Tom. We'll have about 5,000 copies, I think, that we will be able to distribute locally. Copies will be all over Albany, either hand-delivered or delivered to the legislators' offices in Albany. So they'll all get that as well. We'll want to get some to the chamber and whatnot. It'll be a good marketing tool, I think. Again, I put on, so we don't forget, everybody gets the word, there is a War of 1812 museum event going to take place, tickets for sale. I see this as an individual purchase if you're interested. This will be on February 22nd, 5 to 8. Anyone in particular interested? I'll move this along right now if you know. If not, see me and I will get that to you. See how quickly those go. Website launch. We launched the website, as you should be aware. We did a press release, so we did it through the usual outlets. I haven't seen it pop up anywhere yet. And I also went through my address book and launched it personally to people that I know that are in the various media outlets as well as others. We've begun to receive the answers to the questions. There were 18 questions. I thought it was a lot, and I thought they were challenging, and our recreation director didn't think it was at all. Everybody, various departments contribute. You can see she won on that one. Various departments contributed, and the goal was to get them to go to those departments and to see what's there and learn about it, which is part of why we had to scramble last week to get the get a few things tweaked out on the site that needed attention. We've also begun to look at the analytics, I believe it's called, concerning the website, hits on the website, as much data as we can gather. We were doing that a bit before, so I really want to know who is going, where they go, what they do, how long they stay, where they come from, as much as we can before this, during this, and then after the hype goes down, if there's a hype, what becomes our new norm? Did we impact it or not? We do get thousands of hits. More and more I'm learning that the site selection by companies, especially global companies, national certainly as well, I'm sure, takes place before they ever come here. They're going to the website. They're using search engines to learn about us, learn about whether this is the place that they want to bring their business. So we've got to be competitive there. The other thing, we talked, and I know you were there, Paul, Gerard, I think you were, Marty was there, I believe, when we went through the whole website design stuff, talking about revenue. Could we generate a stream of revenue through the website to help support our IT needs and whatnot? The more we can demonstrate we have significant hits, the more valuable it is to be part of our website, and value being the word. So that has happened. If you forgot, we will open the entries on February 28th after 4 p.m. and 5 will be drawn as lucky winners. Stop me if you have questions, otherwise I'm going to keep going because I know that's what you want me to do. League of Women Voters had an event last Friday. It got canceled due to weather. It's been rescheduled. Maybe Danielle, you could post one of these. I anticipated coming last Friday, and right now it looks like I will, or excuse me, last Saturday. Right now it looks like I'll be able to be here for March the 2nd. It's an interesting topic, campaign finance reform. I take a real point to make sure you've got it. There's no registration, just come if you can. Number 8, I think you've got the message on that. March 18, 8 a.m. If you're able to go, let me know. Number 9, Cornerstone. It's another one of those topics that seems to keep coming back. Did you get a Cornerstone document?
No, just the original one.
Nothing in that packet?
No.
Okay. Well, I don't have copies either, so you're not gonna get one right now. Basically, what it boils down to is Pat did some work, did a lot of work. Pat's a good left-brain thinker. He's good with numbers, good with spreadsheets. I just needed to see it in front of me. We had to compare. You know the conversation we've had. What we've discovered is we could go with a wireless phone, wireless device with Verizon for $19.99. Cornerstone can't even do it. They would be the least expensive, and if we did that, we'd save approximately $1,400 a year. One of the concerns that came out is that, boy, I feel bad we didn't get these to you.
They learned the copies real fast while you're talking.
I think you'd better make copies of the one with my notes so everybody's, here. There's a sterile one. I must have meant to do that and we just didn't get there. One of the concerns is for 911 purposes, would a wireless meet our needs at the highest level with the fastest response? Would the Cliff Haven, South Plattsburgh, Cumberland head calls find themselves being bounced over to Vermont, roaming over to Vermont? That's happened. As I gave this some thought prior to tonight, I recall that happening a lot in the last couple of years, really. I haven't been popping over there like we used to. And I know we put a lot of new towers up, so we may have enough now that we don't go on these protracted roams. And since my son's been going to Potsdam the last couple of years, I know when I used to go to Ellenburg, boy, there were 2-3 spots. You got on your phone, you knew you were going over to Canada. Haven't had that experience lately, so maybe we've got the coverage down, but that doesn't happen. If it did, thank you, Danielle, very much. If it did, we would then be weighing $1,400 over safety. What I did, and you know, I met with Mel today, and I asked her some questions. She didn't really have any answers for me about, you know, I thought she might have had some experience with events at the various parks with her cell phone, and she really didn't. I suggested maybe we have one of our Parks and Rec guys go to each park and try to call in on the phone, see how that works. Not 911, of course. Then the other thing, and I think it's in the notes, is if you call from a cell, does that give you the same location identification as a landline? There was some question about that. I challenge that because everything, at least I'm led to believe, is a cell phone with its GIS kind of monitoring. I mean, yeah, they can tell where your cell phone is. You have, you know, Amber Alerts, and if the young person has a phone, they can begin to monitor. So what I ended up doing is contacting Eric Day. I actually sent an email to him with those concerns. I said, Eric, tell us, this is what we're proposing to do. It will save some money. Is there an exposure that we have any concerns with relative to 911 calls? And I think once we get his, I'd hoped to get his response today, prior to the meeting, but I didn't. Once we get that, I don't know why we wouldn't go with Verizon and go wireless and save a little money. So that's the update.
Well, going with Verizon, Bernie, you're keeping the same number. The number is what's logged in as a 911 address. So as long as you're not changing the actual phone number, you shouldn't be changing the physical address of that phone number. You're only going to be changing that if you're changing the number itself.
The only thing that could pose, these will be wired in, won't they, Paul?
That's my intent, that we have a hardwired phone on the wall, and that this wireless device will be in a back closet above the ceiling, right someplace. Yep.
Because these can grow feet.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You ever have any trouble from phone calls within the building?
Depending where you are, AT&T does a better job than Verizon.
But AT&T.
Now, I think that's on the west end.
AT&T has the same exact deal though, so
I don't think
if
that's your
AT&T is a better service provider in a certain area, we just get an AT&T
Yeah.
device as opposed to a
Yeah,
Verizon
they
device,
record.
That's
so.
my understanding, this is not a discount.
Because I have AT&T at my house.
Because we're promising them 12 locations, there's no special discount. So
No.
if we went with 10
That's the
instead of
rate.
12,
Right.
the rate's gonna be the same.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
I know over in South Plattsburgh, AT&T is by far better coverage, that's what I have at my house. It works fine.
I mean, we should be able to test it out. We've got both
Sure.
services, so. I just figured if nothing else, if we get a response on those questions from Eric Day, then we can put that in the file and we've addressed it. So does that work for everyone? If
It's just for the record.
just for the rec buildings, yep. In the event of a emergency. And, I mean, the probability, the possibility, how many times has it happened, but Murphy's Law, but if there's a group activity going and one of the kids playing soccer gets kicked and they need an ambulance, how many moms do you think are pulling their cell phones out calling 911?
They don't
Nobody's
go in
waiting to go back to the building.
They don't go unlock the building and use the phone. No.
That's the way it is. So I think, I'm feeling pretty comfortable, but I thought we needed to address with emergency services, just so we know.
Yep.
Can
Okay?
these be set so that they cannot be used for long distance calls?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, my concern there is, we have some buildings that we lease out,
Yep.
and
Is there an extra cost for that?
usually there's not.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. With this service,
I don't think there is.
you can usually call anywhere.
Is given the right, is the Verizon sheet attached there? Second page?
Yeah.
Leave the list with the services were there. I don't think there was a charge for long distance.
No, it's unlimited.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I have.
So then that wouldn't be a problem.
No.
Unlimited per line.
Domestic, long distance, national calling, night and weekend.
Is unlimited.
It's all unlimited.
Yep.
Oh,
As long as you don't call out of the country, you're good to go.
Every nickel counts.
Don't tell that to the employees whose phones we took away from them.
Bernie, on this same note, we just noted in another report that in Treadwell's Mills, Rec Department is installing a phone line in JECEO's new office. I thought we were going to ask them to get their own phone line and their own internet service or whatever they need for their computer. And I just saw in the recreation report, it says that they would install the phone line. So
Well, they could do the hardwiring. I don't know. Let me find out.
I didn't think we were providing them the phone anymore.
I don't know that message ever came across. We talked about it. I don't know that ever. I didn't have that conversation with Bruce, but I will tomorrow. Okay, anything else on that topic? I had we had some conversation concerning Gene Gwyneth. Did you get anything on that?
Nope.
Let's see what I've got.
is this a personnel issue?
Not at this point. Depends where the conversation goes. There was a concern, and you got some notes on that last work session. We had a bump, or we didn't have a bump. We
Whose
had,
phone is going off? It's not mine.
I think it's Bernie.
Oh.
Well, something's going off.
yes, it was.
Eric Day.
Eric Day, yeah.
That's because he's at the fire station.
Not mine.
Okay.
No. Yeah, sorry. I had mine on silence, but it vibrates pretty loud. We had a more senior driver who was a MEO2. New employee comes. MEO2s get bumped. They don't go by him in year 1. They don't go by him in year 2. They don't go by him in year 3. In year 3, they match. Okay, we've had this conversation. I was approached again by a representative, and actually the employee approached me as well today. And what they're concerned with is that in 2011, we did a salary adjustment for Jason Cook. The reason for that was Mr. Burdick became an MEO.
Bernie?
Yes.
I would request that we go to executive session. I'm not comfortable talking employees' names and salaries and whatever.
I'm not sure that is, we're not talking about his work history, we're just talking about a salary which is public. So I'm not sure that would qualify, Marty. I'll defer to council.
You're right, Mike, it would not.
Okay.
It is uncomfortable, but, you know, there are a lot of us get our salaries very publicly posted, pretty regular. But it's public. And as a result, we did move Jason because he was more senior, and as per the contract, a new promotion went by him. Okay, everybody, if you're comfortable with that. There's an effort to make a relationship between the situation with Gene, who's concerned that in year 3 of the agreement, there are less senior employees with his title who matched him. I think it's Article 27, Section 3 or C addresses that, and
The contract says 3 years, period.
well, with the contract has a provision if a new employee comes in and were to be earning, for whatever reason, more, then the employee who has seniority would be moved ahead of him. The word more is the key word. And we discussed this
It depends on the classification, doesn't it?
at the same classification. Okay, and this meets all those criteria. But in year 3 of the existing agreement, the 2 less senior employees aren't making more, they're making the same.
Which
And it's
is
only the result of a bump. Well, ultimately, with their new job rate, they're going to be an entry level, you get 2 steps, and everybody's at the same top salary. If you've been here 10 years or 5, you're all at top salary. That's what they negotiated.
I was going to say, that was what was asked for.
And that's what they got. Nothing has been broken. The concern with Mr. Cook's salary that was adjusted is because the promotion went ahead of him. The bump in this situation did not go ahead. So it's still that, in my interpretation, still that issue of if a new employee made more, then we do an adjustment, as per the agreement, in the same way that we did back in 2011, because the promotion got more than a senior employee.
Why is the new employee getting more? If he came in under the current contract.
Well,
The new employee's not getting more.
he's not.
He's getting the same.
And that's what's supposed to happen at 3 years.
No, this really doesn't hit that rule because none of them are at the top job rate yet. What happened is we had 2 employees who, because they were senior, when a new person came, they got moved up. Now, they were still below the more senior person in year 1. In year 2, they were still below the more senior person. But in year 3, their salary, and it would have been wise when the adjustment was made to keep them a little below a more senior person. That didn't happen. But they didn't go over.
But that's what was supposed to happen at the end of 3 years.
When you get to job rate, right. But they aren't at job rate. And
So they don't get job rate in 3 years now?
The 4th year, they'll get their job rate.
4th year. So the person is arguing that they're making more. How? And I don't understand. If each of them got the raise each year, why would they be making
Well, that's the point. And I just want to be sure everybody's aware, so if you have a call or a conversation, The trigger is if the senior employee were making less,
And they're not.
and they're not, they're making the same, but it becomes emotional. And you can't, my recommendation is you can't make a change because, you've got a good employee because they should, because they've been here longer. We follow the agreement.
We follow the agreement. As far as I'm concerned, end of discussion.
Everybody's comfortable with that? Because there's a new effort here.
I'm tired of going through it and keep changing things. We got a contract that they agreed to, that they wanted. That's the way they wanted it, and that's the way it should be.
And you're not in violation of anything.
No.
They're apples and oranges, they're not apples. You know what I mean? That's the end of that. My last little item I put in, I just want you to have this. I didn't want it to go by chance. We've been having some conversations looking at needs, looking at cash flow, looking at revenue streams. There's Marty Pat and I participated in a webinar last week on shared services. One of the things I've been concerned about is we need a new relationship in sharing services to help meet some of our growing infrastructure needs, and that would be a public-private partnership. Last week I called it a private-public partnership. I'm going to change it because what I've discovered is Assemblyman Joe Morelli has been pushing for this and is doing a presentation in New York. And for those of you who are going, hopefully one of you will get over there. I've talked to Pat. Pat's indicated he'd be interested. We need to learn more about this. If you go back a couple of years, we were able to secure a shared municipal services grant, which has evolved into becoming the local government efficiency grant in a project with the city for wastewater treatment. The state sets these grants up to prevent municipalities from duplicating materials, duplicating men, programs, salt sheds, whatever. So you share it. We could use a similar kind of relationship working with the private sector to help us meet some of our needs. And I think we could say, well, lo and behold, and I've tried to get some feedback, and my emails haven't been responded to yet. Lo and behold, there is an effort to try and develop a new partnership that would help prevent the burden from going all to the municipality, all to the property owners, homeowners, businesses, taxpayers, or to the business. If you want to come, you've got to build up our infrastructure. That won't last long either.
Wasn't that something we did at Route 9?
Not with the private sector. The private sector has always been excluded when you deal with, government and identifying funding and collaborating on projects for a number of reasons. I don't know where this is going. I'm anxious, and if it looks good and somebody's going to start a pilot program, we can give them a list of needs. Our commercial sector is weighing heavy on the infrastructure, and it grows. Tune in to the next planning board meeting. It's going to continue to grow. And boy, for us to just go out and, we've had this conversation before in work sessions and in public sessions. Tom, you've been the very vocal advocate that we need to attack this infrastructure. Your day is coming. And we've got to find a way, but I think collaboratively, there are businesses, companies, I don't want to give any examples right now, that will spend millions of dollars on a facelift. Maybe they would be able to work with us in a positive way.
So that state infrastructure bank would be something that we want to know about right away.
Yeah, and I think it's the state's advantage. So anyway, I don't know what the assemblyman's got in mind. You've got what I've got. I put some queries out. we need to sniff this out in Albany a bit also.
This doesn't refer to the fact that he's going to be at the Association of Towns, but you were saying that that's what's going to happen, he's going to speak at the Association of Towns?
That's what I'm led to believe, yes.
'Cause
This
is
was a
very-
February 12 event.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yep.
All of it. Okay.
So I will try to provide more information on that. Okay, now let's get some,
Well,
Oh.
that should be something we really pay attention to when we get down to.
yeah, really, we got to sniff that out.
Association of Towns.
Every
Find out
elected
about that.
representative you can find, I mean, unfortunately, Buffalo needs help with infrastructure, and Albany, and Syracuse, and, you know, but ours isn't going to be as costly, so maybe they'll start with us.
Nice thought.
I received a check today, and I just threw a photocopy of it in here just to share for over $11,000 with a NYSERDA grant. I immediately brought it in to Mr. Mannix to say, job well done. With our lighting, getting the gas in, like just a few other things, we keep pulling back a few dollars here, a few dollars there. I'm not sure, and I had a conversation with Pat today, and I think at the end of the conversation I said, but stop, if this is going to take 5 hours to do, don't do it. You got other things to do. But I'd also like to know at some point, maybe, and we did variable speed motors for a water number. At some point I'd like to know what were our energy costs, and there's always a variable with rates, but what were the energy costs 3 years ago? What are they next year? And see, you know, have we got to be realizing some savings.
No question.
And you know, we kind of chuckle now, it seems to be anything energy, and Marty today, I think, was appointed to a committee concerning natural gas, weren't you?
Yes.
Maybe just quickly share an update of that.
The governor charged the Public Service Commission with challenging the various providers of natural gas to do a better job of bringing natural gas primarily to residential sections of the state. And I was appointed to the committee for where there are already in existence franchise agreements, but there hasn't been the build-out that we might have expected and would like to achieve. And so we're working on that. And that, again, part of what we've already broached a subject with some of the people on the Public Service Commission is the idea of, you know, public-private partnerships being an avenue that can do that. And part of what the Public Service Commission is being challenged to do is take a look at their tariff structures, because in some instances those tariff structures, as they seek to protect people who are coming on natural gas and have an expectation of what their costs will be as they come on to natural gas, from having to pick up the costs of bringing natural gas to others. But there needs to be a balance in there. You know, I've spoken to the fact that, you know, when you read of the electrification of this country, companies were mandated to take a portion of their profits and reinvest those profits into expanding electricity into rural America.
So, you know, we're making some progress. We're posturing, but it's progress. And, you know, energy costs are huge for us and for homeowners and business. We can get around that. It's good. So all things energy, I've been going to Marty, but every time I get a check as a result of his work, I feel like we're achieving something. If no one has anything else in that category, I'm going to go right to resolutions. We have a couple, and you know, Debbie and I both shook our head that we surfaced last week that we had brought into work sessions and they never got out to our last regular session to act on. And then not having a session next week, we got a little more to do here. So, with that said, Danielle, let's get her done. Resolution 66, General Fund Budget Amendments.
Whereas the general fund had over expenditures in the fiscal year 2012 for increases in various departments, whereas various expenditures were not anticipated when the budget was developed, unemployment claims, extra work on the audit, court settlements. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board authorize the following budget amendments.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Renadette, second.
Second.
Mr. Lemoy. Any discussion?
These are just technical amendments reflecting the need to change the appropriations and the expenditures to reflect what really transpired within the year. And they are minor in, I mean, the total amount of the transfers is $31,500.
One of the lines on point, you project, to project within $700 was probably pretty good. But we have to correct the books, balance the books, and that's what we're doing. Any other questions, comments? Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Paul Lemoy.
Yes.
Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 67, bookkeeper salary adjustment.
Whereas on December 31st, 2012, the portion of the town of Plattsburgh bookkeeper salary compensated by the LDC ended, but the duties and responsibilities of the position had become more extensive than they were in 2008. Now, therefore, be it resolved that effective January 1st, 2013, the bookkeeper's salary of $20.89 per hour shall be paid from the general fund, and be it further resolved that this resolution supersede any previous resolution concerning the rate of pay for the bookkeeper, and a copy be given to the finance manager and bookkeeper.
A motion.
So moved.
Mr. Wood, second.
Second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion? This is another one we had talked about at length in the work session, just didn't get it out. Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Paul Lemoy.
Yes.
Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Abstract 2B. Go ahead, read it.
Resolved that the abstract of audited claims number 2B-13, numbers 170 through 206, for $97,862.77, abstract 2B-13, numbers 3032 through 3038, for the amount of $2,771.05, be received as reviewed by the audit committee, and the supervisors hereby authorized to pay said abstracts.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Lemoy, second.
Second.
Mr. Renadette, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Paul Lemoy.
Yes.
Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 69, historian's monthly report.
Resolved to receive and place on file the historian's monthly report for the month of January 2013.
Motion.
So moved.
Mr. Wood, second.
Second.
Mr. Renadette, any discussion? And I know you,
Keep
go
getting
ahead.
more volunteers, and that's great.
Oh.
I'd like to keep seeing this.
I was going to say, Tom, I know you read these, and it's almost a sin not to put it out there, but the activities, the effort is
He's doing
very good.
everything for the history, and they're promoting the area as well.
Yeah. And it really is one of those cogs that fits with so many other initiatives, and it's very good. A roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Paul Lemoy.
Yes.
Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 70, Parks and Recreation Department monthly report.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Melanie DePiat, Recreation and Youth Services Director, for the month of January
Have a
2013.
motion.
So moved.
Mr. Mannix, second.
Second.
Mr. Wood, any discussion? The one item under recreation, the event that, the adventure races, obstacle course that had its kickoff last week. Marty and I were there for that event. It's got a lot of merit. There was a nice group of youngsters there. It was a miserable cold day. That's before the snow. They had no
I
snow.
think there was a picture in the paper this morning.
Yeah, they've had another one this
Kids
past
going
weekend.
over it.
Yeah, they got a series of events, but the town is playing, kind of a major role in helping that event take place. A lot of agencies helping to sponsor the activities. Jay LePage was there. We had a nice chat with him. But it's good stuff. It really brings the community together. And again, it's another one of those things, getting kids out, getting them doing things, getting physical activity, fresh air. It's good stuff.
Yeah, so I see that some of the employees have to try it too.
Yes.
It was a great coalition of public, private, not-for-profits, all came together
Yep.
to put that thing in place.
Yeah, it's a good example of that for the kids. So the little kids run
Did
around.
anybody happen to see the movie of Mel having to run the course?
No.
You should ask to see it.
Is it on their site?
I don't know if she uploaded it,
I'll
but
bet you.
it was pretty
Oh,
hilarious.
she was the other person?
She ran it with.
Somebody had to lead the kids.
No, they tested it before the kids got to run it to
Mm-hmm.
make sure it was kind of round or in a shape. And she went against the recreation director from the city.
Who won?
Well, Mel did because she got lost and skipped half. But it was
I don't know
funny.
if that's legal.
It was funny.
It's good to see them working together.
Lost, huh?
Teaching them how to cheat.
Well, so they knew they had to tweak the course a little when you get lost.
When the one that said that's lost, you gotta fix it, right?
Roll call.
Good thing they had a trial.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Paul Lemoy.
Yes.
Gerard Hennigan.
Yes.
Bernard Bass.
Yes, resolution carries. Planning Department Monthly Report, number 71.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Phil Von Bargen, Planning and Engineering Department Head for the month of February 2013.
A motion.
So moved.
Mr. Lemoy, second. Mr.
Second.
Mannix. Any discussion? Some interesting things in this agenda.
Is there still room in-
Significant. What's that?
Is there still room in that parking lot to have another huge building in there?
This
This
is
is the
in,
one that was previously done.
yeah,
Oh,
It is, they are modifying the footprint
larger.
a little bit, but I think 2,500 feet.
Yep. So there's exciting things.
There's a lot.
Watch Nova. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
they
you all
wanna
saw the
expand
one nobody wants to talk about was in the paper the other day, but it was still there.
Yep,
So I'll leave it at
that
that.
project which shall be remained.
Remain anonymous at this point.
no, don't say anything else.
I won't say I told you so, but I might. Any other discussion? They are busy, though. They are very busy. I mean, they're just, we should be concerned as we are with issues that came before us earlier. There are some tough times. There have been an enormous number of layoffs, companies closing, but there have been new opportunities as well. And the data, you've got to so watch how data gets interpreted. And I've been here 8 years, and I'm still learning how to interpret data. I get a seminar from Pat, most at 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, because I don't want to tax them too much. And sometimes it's tomato and sometimes it's tomato, but there still are a number of positive things happening. And we don't want to lose sight of that. And we don't want to misrepresent that either. The North Country may come out to be one of the places where people who are trying to move ahead go to, because things are progressing here. And that's part of the legislative gazette. We've got to get our message out. The cup is not half full. I'd say it's maybe a little over half, or half empty. I mean, I'd say it's close to 2/3 full. Watch out. I'm losing myself.
It's easy for you to
I'm gonna roll call. Let's go with the roll
We got a diagram, that one.
Whatever.
Tom's perplexing it over there. Thomas, do you want to vote?
Well, we're voting on, yeah, we're voting on what you said, we're voting on the resolution.
We're
Yes.
just voting.
Martin Mannix,
Yes.
Paul Moy,
Yes.
Gerard Renadette,
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes.
Not to see my ass tax.
That was close. Got that rope going right around my neck there. For a while. The next resolution has the supervisor's monthly financial. We have an update on that. So the one that was given to you before, you can disregard. And this is the one we are going to be seeking to pass with the resolution.
That one wasn't online, the one you're gonna pass was not online, is that correct?
I don't know. Pat, do you know? It was not.
Okay.
Resolution 72, Supervisor's Monthly Financial Report.
Resolved to receive and place on file the supervisor's financial report for the month of February 2012?
January.
January 2012.
How many times do we all look at that and didn't pick
2012
that
or
up?
2013?
Oh, yeah.
13.
2011, maybe.
Yeah.
2003.
It says as of 12/12.
Yeah, that's December.
So I'm
This
talking
is
about
December's.
December.
This is December.
December 12th and,
Month of December
December
2012.
okay, excuse me.
This month of December was left out.
So what's the big change?
Well, it's $380,000 more than the one that we previously received.
Okay, so for the month of December 12, that should read, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Manick, second.
Second.
Mr. Renadette, any discussion?
So there's not any huge differences.
Nope.
Bernie, the only thing that I'd ask, and maybe Pat, in here, all the street lighting accounts are all separate accounts, it's all been merged into one account, because we consolidated, is that?
Well, this was December last year.
December,
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Will it be merged in the first? Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
yes.
Paul Moy,
Yes.
Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Try one more time here. Resolution 73, but before,
Did we
We
get
bring
that
it-
already?
get what?
Did we get this report before? Town clerk?
You're getting it right now.
This is a new one too?
This is hot off the press.
And who's this from? Is this from you?
Yes.
Okay, because it says town clerk from, so it's really from you.
The deputy signed it. The header is
Yep.
town clerk, but it's signed by the deputy.
Okay, so we got to change the resolution.
Oh, it's the town clerk's report.
The clerk is back.
The clerk's office.
Clerk is back in service, so.
I don't know that we need to, it's still the clerk's report, even though it might have been prepared by, I didn't prepare the supervisor's financial report. Finance manager did.
Who
But it's
signed
still
it?
the supervisor's report. I will, tomorrow.
I signed January's because I was the one that did the majority of January, so I
Yep.
thought I should sign it.
So she signed, you signed yours, okay.
Okay, 73, town clerk's monthly report.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Ricky J. Collins, town clerk, for the month of January 2013.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Manick, second. Mr. Lemoyne, any discussion?
I already discussed. Should be from Daniel.
Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Martin Mannix,
Yes.
Paul Moy,
Yes.
Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 74, Water Wastewater Department monthly report.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Scott Stoddard, Water Wastewater Department Director for January 2013.
A motion.
So moved.
Mr. Wood, second.
Second.
Mr. Renadette, any discussion?
Just that Tom and I will be going Wednesday afternoon, 1 o'clock, to finish our tour of some of the facilities. We're getting a firsthand look at some of the deficiencies in the areas. I believe everybody got a copy of the first half of the tour that dealt mainly with our water storage. This one will concentrate on lift stations.
Are you taking photos along the way?
No, the sewer we're not. No, I took.
If you want to go down in there, go ahead.
I did take a few of the water
I've seen
tanks.
the photos from down in there.
I took a few of the water tanks, like I
Yeah,
said.
I saw it,
the
both
tank
holes.
farm, yeah. That was a concern, but in general, no. I think we can trust, Tom and I will take a look, firsthand look. If you want pictures, I think we'll ask Scott to go out there and bring you some with a good camera.
I'm just thinking where necessary, as we're addressing the problem, if there's, a lift station, a manhole, that the picture helps.
The first lift station we looked at, I think it was in the report, was the one on Route 3, which serves our commercial district. It's 1950 circa, technology. I don't know that we want to move into the 21st century with, 20th century equipment, especially in light of what could happen down there should that fail. I'd hate to explain to all those hotels and businesses that, they got to shut down while we wait to make repairs and the sewer backing up. I mean, our camel will do a lot of good, but it won't do it for long.
That's by camel put over every manhole.
Yeah.
Plus just the avenue, the safety factor, when those guys go down to service that lift station, they go out of sight of the guy that's on top to monitor their safety. I mean, they're completely out of sight underground. That is really.
That's
not
why I've
safe.
recommended that the younger person keep going down into the thing, and I'll just stay on the top and watch them, you see.
That's what we did. I went down into the one on Route 3, and Tom stayed up above him. Actually, he didn't know I was gone for a while. But no, there's another one of concern we're going to take a look at is the one out by 87, and we've had some failures out there where the backup generators didn't start, and we have some overflows, and that's could be some dangerous ramifications to some kind of sensitive ecosystems out there. So.
I also like to check into what the cost is when we rent these standby units, and if we should have one generator that will handle it, because the generators we have wouldn't handle this, and they had to go.
Well, I was going to comment on that. We just got done buying that generator on a trailer. If we didn't buy one big enough to service some of those lift stations, I mean, that really was.
Well, that particular lift station has got for whatever reason, when they built it, and I think the reason was at that time, the mentality was that the development was going to take place on Route 9 going north. And it didn't, but the way the thing was set up, it requires a large generator.
Bigger than the one we have? I mean,
I think so, yeah.
I couldn't use it.
That's what Scott said.
Wow.
Yep.
It's an unusual situation, it's really, really old, and it's what I've been saying all along.
But
Oh, no,
But a lot
this
of-
could be your year, Tom.
a lot of standby generators were replaced back in the mid-90s, probably.
Yeah, we've gotten some money.
Is that not one that got replaced?
I don't believe that was one that got replaced. Back then, we were looking at, we needed serious backup systems for this building here, and I think the bulk of the money went for the generator that operates the town hall. We had some other ones that were on
There
loan.
were 5 or 6 other ones. that
There were 5 or
at the
6
same
other
time.
ones, but there was only a couple of them that were of a size that could really do that. I think one of them is permanently mounted out on Gallagher Springs, I think, to operate that system. But there's been a problem too with that one as far as maintenance contract on it. We need to get a maintenance contract on that, but that's something we'll have to go out to bid for. There's going to be recommendations coming forward. We're not done yet.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Martin Mannix,
Yes.
Paul Moy,
Yes.
Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes,
My-
resolution carries.
My experience is we don't have to rent that for very long before we can pay for one, so.
I agree.
Resolution 75, standard workday and reporting resolution.
Whereas whereas Regulation 315.4 from the Office of the New York State Comptroller was passed and became effective August 12, 2009, and as per regulation, it is required that the town board adopt a standard workday and reporting resolution to report the term and days worked per month for each office or position. And whereas the standard workday and reporting resolution should be updated periodically to reflect the changes in work hours and for newly elected and appointed officials, therefore be it resolved that the town board does hereby set the standard workday and service credit to be reported to the New York State and local employees retirement system as attached. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be posted on the town website and the official signboard located near the town clerk's office for a minimum of 30 days. And be it further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution and an affidavit of posting be filed with the Office of the State Comptroller within 45 days of the adoption of said resolution, and a copy be given to the budget officer and finance manager.
A motion.
So moved.
Mr. Renner, second.
Second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion?
Yeah, we're just adding the four that they've added recently, the deputy for the taxes, deputy town clerk, and the court clerks, which we didn't have in before.
Those are new, but it's a full report being submitted to the retirement.
I would question the elected officials under town justice. It says 2.64 days a month. I don't know what month that was in, but they get called out for all kinds of things. I would think that, you know, you get up in the middle of the night, you go out to come to the town to arraign somebody, that would count. And they're certainly in court where, you know, quite a few hours. So I would question why that's only 2.6.
Pat, do you have any feedback on that?
That's based on calendars that they submitted to the town. They do a 3-month calendar. You take the 3 months, you total up the hours, divide it by 3 to get what the monthly average is, and then you divide that by the standard workday, and that's what it comes up with.
Yeah, I don't think they're putting all their hours down.
Well, that's not up to me to decide.
Okay, that's their fault then.
But if they come in for 3 arraignments and they're here for an hour, that's 3 hours. That's not 3 days. So you have to,
Right.
you know, come up with their standard. I don't know what
I
their
grant you, but, you know.
their standard is 6.
6
So
hours. So if they have a court for one night for 3 hours, they're only going to get service credit for half.
And then they have an extra court that they alternate, and then they come in for arraignments
But
at varying times.
we can only take what they give
I
us
know.
on the
What
calendar.
they
and
submitted.
that's what we
I just said I would question that, that's not me.
next time you see a judge, question it.
Usually it goes the other way, Tom, just so you know. It's usually way out of whack where they're getting more service credit than they should be getting. So.
That's okay. I don't put down any, so it's all right.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Paul Lemoyne.
Yes.
Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 76, approving the minutes of January 7th. This is also one that simply was, no, this one's okay. Go ahead.
Resolved that the minutes of January 7th, 2013 be approved and the reading of the minutes be dispensed
A
with.
motion.
So moved.
Mr. Renadette, second.
Second.
Mr. Lemoyne, any discussion?
Yeah, I think that the X's came down a little bit on the present, because I think it was Ricky that was absent, and not Mr. Coffey. On the first part.
Okay, Daniel?
Yep, I got that.
Got my back, Tom.
Hey, listen, you gotta get me on the next one. You don't know I wasn't here, that's right.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Paul Lemoyne.
Yes.
Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes, resolution carried. Good eyes, Tom. Didn't even pick up on that. 77, codes and zoning monthly report. But before we bring that one to the table, we'll give you a copy.
Wasn't there other minutes?
Not,
No, we approved those last,
You approved the
You got February 7th.
January 14th and January 28th last time?
yes,
Oh, when I
I got
wasn't
this
here.
one.
yes.
Okay, so those are approved. All right.
Yep.
Because I got a thing that says draft on it. So it must be why.
okay, resolution 37, codes and zoning department monthly report. 77.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Stephen Imhoff, Coast Enforcement Officer for the month of January 2013.
You see him? Here.
Have a motion.
Wait a minute. Okay.
So moved.
Mr. Mannix, second.
Second.
Mr. Lemoy, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Paul Lemoy.
Yes.
Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Have one more. Local government efficiency grant interim funding, but you need to get a hold of this. And there it is. Let's get on the table and we'll go from there. Danielle, you have
I
one?
have one, thank you.
Resolution 78, local government efficiency grant interim funding.
Whereas on March 7, 2011, the town of Plattsburgh entered into an agreement with the town of Schuyler Falls to provide water and operation and maintenance services to the hamlet of Morrisonville. And whereas the municipalities applied for and received funding for local government efficiency grant in the amount of $412,223 that is funded by New York State to encourage and support intermunicipal agreements to eliminate duplication of services and save taxpayer dollars. And whereas LEG funding is released as a payment to the municipality following the completion of the work submitted for funds, now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Plattsburgh does hereby authorize the transfer of funds from the Consolidated Water District in the amount of $10,000 to the Mooresville Consolidation Capital Project H2O, and is further resolved that said funds be paid back to the Consolidated Water District from Mooresville Consolidation Capital Project as funds become available from the grant. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager and the director of the Water Wastewater Department.
A motion.
So moved.
Mr. Mannix, second.
Second.
Mr. Lemoy, any discussion?
Probably should just add that a copy goes to the budget officer too, Brad.
Okay.
So this one we entered into a couple of years ago, and it's not, and we're going to be getting all that money back.
This is the same thing we did last year, and I believe that number was 100,000 that we had to transfer, do the work, submit it, get the payment.
Should there be a problem with the grant? Does Morrisonville agree to reimburse the town of Plattsburgh for this? This is their project. Was there anything in the agreement?
I don't recall, but I mean, I'll have the whole agreement memorized. The grant has been feeding the project, so we don't anticipate a problem.
Right. But grant money, as we know, can be here today, gone tomorrow.
Yep.
And this is a project for another municipality. I just wonder if there's any guarantee that we're not going to be left holding the bag on this one. We were careful in other agreements as far as Macy Lane and those type of things, that we would not be left holding the bag should something happen. I think we should take a look and tread carefully as to how much we want to invest in this prior to the grant money.
The last one we did, I hate to pull you out of without prior notice, but Pat, do you recall the last one? I think it was 100,000, wasn't it?
100,000.
We didn't have any problems with that one, so.
I didn't think of it.
The reimbursements have been submitted, we're just waiting for them to come in,
Okay.
which should be pretty soon, so.
I just, and
I
again,
understand what you're saying, because sometimes the state says they'll give you money, and then they come
Right.
back and say, oh, sorry,
Right.
our bad.
We've seen grant money disappear, so.
And that's part of why you want to do it at the beginning of the year versus the end of the year, you know, because you know you will wait. But I mean, I made a note, Gerard. I'll
Right.
check on that in the agreement and see if there's some language there. I don't think we're quite done. I know we're very close,
We're not quite done on
but you know, until it's over, it isn't over.
Right.
So I'll check on that. It's a good point. It might be standard language. I just do not recall. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Paul Lemoy.
Yes.
Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. We only had one draft this evening, and that is the minutes from the February 4 meeting, which did not get adopted. That's it. I'm not going to say another word.
I
I have something.
Go ahead.
Tom?
I was looking at the reports that you gave to us from the comptroller, and particularly I was interested in the town of Black Brook, which I went through, and you probably saw it, I'm not sure, but under the recommendations, and under the things that it said the board has not adopted a long-term capital plan or a long-term financial plan to address the corresponding costs and future repairs and maintenance costs concerning the water and sewer. And that they would recommend revising the water and sewer rates annually, and that there be a multi-year financial plan to establish clear goals and objectives for funding the town's long-term operating and capital needs, which is what I've been saying right along. And it's in the comptroller's audit of the town of Black Brook, and I think we need to make sure we do this.
I think that's been a number of the audits. Municipalities just haven't put a plan in place, and maybe some of it's because the results of that's going to scare them.
Well, we have to do it anyway.
You know, as we've looked at, Tom, the cost of fixing everything, we can even raise that much money. But we have to get started, and
Well, that was the whole idea. Is
That's what's
once
going
a
on.
multi-year plan, and then you
But
gotta pay some
Pat's
today.
got some comment.
Can I just address that question? I've already started doing that, Tom. The multi-year financial plan. I went back 5 years. I've gathered all the data for each fund. What we're working on, working with Scott and Jim on the current capital plan. You need to have the capital plan done first so we can use those numbers to pull into our multi-year financial plan. So hopefully by the end of the week, I'll have those numbers, and then we can start working on our multi-year plan. So we'll have something to use to go forward, and then each year we'll update it.
As I talked to you, and I've talked to
Yes.
Scott before, and I've talked to other departments, including highway, they need to put down everything that we're gonna need. What do we have to invest to replace everything? It doesn't mean we're replacing anything, but we have to know what it costs.
Like for your
When
sewer
is it
stuff,
due?
you're gonna go out 10, 20, maybe 30 years because it depends on how
Yeah.
old the equipment is.
Well, that's what I consider a
what the
multi-year
preventive
plan.
maintenance is on and everything else. So we're gonna take that into consideration. And then when you're working with your financial plan, obviously we're gonna have to take our sales tax revenues into consideration depending on which way we feel that they're gonna go up or down, and that will affect a lot of other.
Well, we may have to do more than that.
That was just an example. Are you arguing with that?
okay.
Just if I could, very quickly, on January 18th, a letter went out from the Town of Plattsburgh Board of Ethics to our surrounding towns and the county boards of ethics, inviting them to a conference of sorts here at the Town of Plattsburgh. The Town of Plattsburgh's Board of Ethics expressed an interest in meeting, in forming this convention of sorts to try and butt heads and find out what's going on in the other towns, what are some of the issues that have come before them, has nothing come before them. It's an attempt to keep the interest peaked in our ethics members, because left to our own devices without anything to have to act on, we would fall by the wayside pretty quickly. So I commend my group for coming up with this idea. To date, only one member from another board of ethics has responded. Maybe at your supervisors meeting, you could mention it to the supervisors. The meeting is slated for April the 28th at 5:30, April the 23rd, excuse me, at 5:30. Like I said, the town of Beacon Town is the only town that has had a member respond.
We have a meeting March 20th, so I'll put that on the agenda.
All right.
Actually, what I'll do is I'll also include it in my notice going out in advance of that, so there's a little more lead time, and I'll put it on the agenda for that meeting
Okay.
as well. Good. Anyone else? We're going to stand closed at 8:45.